Movie or a TV show that you may have missed, Volume 2. Now, a lot of people will ask me for movie and TV show recommendations, and I try to recommend what I would consider to them a hidden gem. Now, it's not necessarily some obscure movie, it's just a movie or TV show that I think they may have missed because we know that the movie landscape right now is, in my opinion, mostly dominated by comic book movies and sequels of movies that have had 3 or 4 movies already. Just my opinion. So I try to recommend something that I think they might not have seen. And usually when I recommend these movies, at least 50% of the people that I recommend them to have not seen it. So hopefully out of this video, you have some new movies to watch that you're really a fan of. Now, before I get into those movies, a couple things. If you're a fan of movies and you like movie recommendations, smash that like button. If you've already seen the movies that I'm talking about, make sure, or the TV show, make sure you leave a comment with your thoughts, whether they're positive or negative. We may not agree, you never know. Like to hear what you think. Sound off in the comment section about your thoughts or recommendations that you have. And of course, you're watching the video anyway, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel for more movie and TV show recommendations. So I've got a few movies here and one TV show that I think that you should watch. And we're going to start this one off with a movie called Till Death. Now, this is a movie with Megan Fox. She's in kind of a lame marriage, and it's their 10-year anniversary. And her husband is going to take them to a cabin for a weekend getaway. Well, the next morning, she wakes up handcuffed to her dead husband. And there's twists and turns through this movie, and there's other killers that show up to try to kill her. And remember, she's got to maneuver with a dead body attached to her via handcuffs. So it's interesting. Is it the best movie ever? No. It's different. It kind of reminds me to a degree of Gerald's Game, which was a movie that I saw on Netflix, but that was when the guy handcuffed his wife and he was going to have some fun sex, and then he has a heart attack and dies. This is a little bit more different and a little bit less, science fiction-y at the end, I guess. But I think it was good enough if you're looking for that kind of drama, suspense, somewhat horror. I think Till Death is worth a watch just because you probably haven't heard of it yet. So that would be something I'd recommend. Next up is a comedy that I really like, and I would say 50%, maybe a little bit more of the people that I talk about have seen this movie, but I really enjoy it. Some people would probably call it cheesy, and that would be The Wedding Ringer. So the premise is Josh Gad, who is this fellow right here, if you haven't seen it yet, is going to marry Kaylee Cuoco, Penny from The Big Bang Theory, and she asks him about his groomsmen. Well, this Josh Gad guy, actually has no friends, so he hires Kevin Hart, who essentially sets up weddings for people. He'll be your best man, and he'll bring groomsmen as many as you need for a certain price. So he ends up hiring Kevin Hart to be in this wedding, and he has all these groomsmen, and they have to have stories and names that Josh Gad gave Kaylee Cuoco. I don't remember the characters' names in this show, the movie. Otherwise, I would say their character names. But I think it's really funny. I really like the movie. It's one of my go-to comedies that are more recent, not like older comedies from the early 2000s and 90s. It's one of my, mid to late 2000s movies that I really like. And I suggest, if you haven't seen it yet, to give it a watch and just go into it knowing that you're going to laugh, because I really like Kevin Hart and Josh Gad. And, of course, I really love Kaylee Cuoco in The Wedding Ringer. Check it out. Next up, we have kind of like an action suspense drama. I just rewatched this last weekend, and that would be Hostage. One of the better Bruce Willis movies over the last 10 years, because he has made some duds. Obviously, there was some issues, and now we know that Bruce Willis had some major issues going on. But this was actually Bruce Willis being Bruce Willis, not a shell of himself. The premise is these three guys end up taking this family, this rich family, hostage. And Bruce Willis is a former police negotiator turned to a small town sheriff. that goes to the scene, and one of his officers gets killed, and he's got to try to get these two kids and the dad out. But then he's hired by like some gangsters or something like that, because this guy that owns this place has some information or some tapes that people want. So he's got to kind of play both ways, and it's just really fun. Is it the greatest movie ever? No, but Bruce Willis is really good in it. It also has Kevin Pollak in it, and those from my it has Ben Foster, who played Archangel in the X-Men: The Last Stand. Yeah, the X-Men movie that nobody likes. In addition to Apocalypse, for the most part, and Dark Phoenix. But I think Hostage, really good movie. Came out in 2005, I believe, somewhere around there. But I really like it. It's lots of action, lots of good scenes, and you should definitely check it out if you haven't already. Hostage. This is a really good one. If you're looking for a drama, suspense type movie with kind of a story where you have to pay attention because some parts are slow, I would recommend Prisoners. Now, there are two movies that came out in 2013 that I didn't really know that much about, but I went to see them in the theater. One would be Prisoners, and the other one I will talk about in my next recommendation video. But Prisoners, the story is you have Hugh Jackman and you have Terrence Howard. And what it happens is Hugh Jackman's family and Terrence Howard's family are friends, and their daughters and kids mainly hang out together. Well, their daughters end up missing, and you have a suspect who's a little cuckoo or somewhat special in Paul Dano, who was the Riddler in the newest The Batman movie. He's like their only lead. His van, or what is it? His van or his RV? Was it an RV? I can't remember now. But they try to find out what happened to their girls, and they really don't get a lot from him. So, and the police they can't really do anything. So what happens is Hugh Jackman has to make a decision. And Terrence Howard and him, well, mainly Hugh Jackman, but Hugh Jackman decides to kidnap this guy who's, not all necessarily there because he's apparently had some trauma in his life, and he tortures the shit out of him to try to find out what happened to his daughter. And also in the movie, you have Jake Gyllenhaal, who plays like the cop doing the investigation, and it's a really good movie. And the ending is really, really good. I like it a lot. This was one of those hidden gems, and not a lot of people talk about this movie. Now, this movie was mentioned recently on Sledgehammer Horror. Ken and Ashley Sledge have seen this movie and absolutely like it, and they consider it a horror movie. I don't know if it's necessarily a horror movie, but it definitely does have some horror elements. But I think, my opinion, it's more geared towards drama. But hey, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. The good thing is that they've seen it and they love it. And I'm glad that I can share my love of a movie with somebody. So Prisoners, if you haven't seen it yet, check it out. Make sure you're paying attention because it's a really good flick. And then lastly, I have a TV show for you. This show was recommended to me, not just me personally, but in a movie and TV show Blu-ray collection video by the great Cody Leach. And that TV show is Banshee. Season 1, Season 2, Season 3, and Season 4. So it has 4 seasons, and the premise of this show is a jewel thief gets out of prison after 15 years, and he's going to try to find his accomplice, his lady friend. Well, she's living in a small town in Banshee, Pennsylvania, under a different name. So he's going to go there to try to rekindle and possibly talk about where the diamonds were, because they never found the diamonds. Well, on his way there, he stops in a bar, And it turns out the new sheriff-to-be is in this bar, but nobody knows who this guy is. They hired him from out of state or out of town because they didn't want anybody that was already corrupted by, like, the town's main corruptor. His name is Proctor. I don't remember his first name, but his last name is Proctor, and that's mainly what he goes by. Cal Proctor, I think it is. He corrupts people. He has, like, a meat packing place or meat something, and everybody's like, he's bought everybody. So this new sheriff is at this bar. You have our main character, and then you have the bartender. Well, some of Proctor's men come in the bar and start giving some trouble, and they end up killing. It wasn't their intention, but they end up killing this new sheriff-to-be, which they didn't know he was the sheriff. So our jewel thief character, because he knows that this guy, nobody knows who he is, he decides to take his identity, and he knows a guy that's a major hacker who can give him a driver's license and everything, and he becomes this character, Lucas Hill. Or no, is it Lucas Hill? Now I'm forgetting what the character's name is. It's Lucas Hood. It's Hood. Sheriff Hood. I don't know why it's the wrong name there, but he becomes Hood, and he becomes the town's sheriff. And there's good characters, the deputies and all the other cops that are at this building. It's just, that's kind of the premise for the first season, and that kind of continues throughout the majority of the show, but it's a really good show. Now, the reason why I recommend it, the story plot, kind of far-fetched, but the action sequences in this television show are very good choreographed action sequences. And if you're a fan of gratuitous TNA, well, there's a lot of it in this show. It's got the guy from Homelander in it, which I'm not familiar with that show. His name is Anthony Starr. Yeah, Lucas Hood is their name, but his real name is Anthony Starr. He's in Homelander. Is it The Boys? Yeah, The Boys, as Homelander. I'm not sure if that character's still on that show or not, but he was in it at one point. But this is a really good show, and if you're looking for a lot of action, a really good fight scenes, and a lot of TNA, which they do a lot of that, well, at least the first 3 seasons, they kind of tone things down in season 4, but it's a good show from start to finish. It has an ending that they knew was happening. It wasn't canceled where they didn't really get a good ending, and I liked the beginning, I liked the middle, and I certainly like the end, and it's one of the shows that's in my top 10 favorite TV shows of all time. So I would definitely recommend Banshee to you. It is on HBO Max. It's only 4 seasons, and it's like, 39 episodes or something like that. So it's easy to get through. So those are my recommendations for today. The television show Banshee, and then the movies Till Death, The Wedding Ringer, Hostage, and Prisoners. So make sure you check all those out. Shortly here, I will put a link to my last movies or TV show that you may have missed, Volume 1, in case you want to check that out. And I'll put some links to my favorite television shows of all time, as well as my top 100 movies of all time playlist, because I did it in 10 parts, 10 different, 100 to 91, 90 to 81, and so forth. So, like I said before, if you're a fan of movies and you like movie recommendations and you like my recommendations, make sure that you smash that like button, sound off in the comment section about what your thoughts are. If you've seen it, if you haven't seen it, your thoughts or movies or TV shows that you would like to recommend. Share the video with whomever you want. Put it on your social media platforms. And last but certainly not least, you're already watching the video, so make sure you smash and hit that subscribe button. Subscribe to the channel, join the team, show your damn support, and be a part of something special. And JDev will return.